welcome to a brand new edition of the India Development Debate. I'm Supriya Shrinate. Prime Minister Modi did inaugurate the National War Memorial, but he made it a political event. He charged at the Congress during his inauguration program, which is built to commemorate about 26,000 Indian soldiers who lost their lives in wars. Mr. Modi highlighted his government's achievements of ensuring 40% rise in pension hike of ex-servicemen, but he did make an electoral call from there. Was that the right thing to do? Has its time come? How significant is this war memorial going to be? And more important than anything else, what will this mean to millions of Indians who want to join the armed forces, who are willing to give up their lives to save up this country? Let's take this across to an expert panel that's joining us right here. And I've got with me Sushant Sareen, Strategic Affairs expert and Senior Fellow Observer Research Foundation. I've got Neerja Chaudhary, political commentator and columnist. Aishwarya Mahadev represents the Congress Party and Narendra Alineja represents the BJP. So thank you very, very much, all of you, for joining me here. And Neerja, if I may start with you, how significant is this memorial? This has come after a long wait of over 60 years. There are very few countries in the world that have a memorial like this. We finally have one. What do you believe is the significance of a memorial like this?
The Prime Minister himself said that it is a wait of decades being over, and it really is, because to have a memorial, war memorial, we have at India Gate a memorial, but that is in memory of soldiers, Indian soldiers who died in First World War. So to have our own memorial in the memory of, as they say, more than 20,000 soldiers who have given their lives for the country over the last decades is a very big step. And, you know, we all can feel proud of it and feel good about this being inaugurated today. The significance, you know, what is disappointing today for me, given the gravitas of the occasion, and given the fact that it comes after Pulwama and more than 40 of our CRPF soldiers dying and being eliminated, and the country getting very agitated and angry and identifying with the armed forces in a way that has not happened for a long time, I'm disappointed that the Prime Minister should have turned it into an election speech. I thought, you know, there'll be so many occasions when he will have the chance to go for the Gandhi family, to say that they don't want Rafale deal, and now we're into election season. Every day he's speaking at many occasions, but I wish it had not happened at this occasion today.
Right. No, I couldn't agree with you more, but we will come to that in just a bit, and I will take it across to the politicians to answer that question. But before I go any further, Sushant Sareen, some have criticized this war memorial while many others have applauded this. The criticism is that this is mere tokenism before elections. Do you believe it's the timing that is suspect?
No, the war, you know, see, number one, I think the people who criticize, I agree with what Neerja Chaudhary has just said. This was a very somber occasion and it should not have been used for political grandstanding. But having said that, unless it's somebody's case that the war memorial was prepared in a way that the timing of its inauguration was virtually on the eve of elections, then I don't know. But you know, it's the usual suspects and their usual carping that this memorial should not have been built or the timing is suspect, because they'll suspect everything because they are the usual suspects. But I think this has happened not a day too soon. In fact, it's been long delayed. We as a nation must learn to bow our heads in humility before the sacrifice of people, you know, who make the supreme sacrifice. And for us to have these kind of carping sounds, whether, you know, it spoils the aesthetics, it doesn't, whether this is the right place or it should have been in some godforsaken place where nobody would ever go, I think this is an appropriate place. So all of that I am willing to go with, and I think much of the criticism about the timing is the usual kind of stuff which happens. I don't take it seriously.
Okay. Okay, give me a minute. Before I go across to Naren Taneja to ask the uncomfortable political question, I have an uncomfortable question for the Congress party. And there are some sections of the Congress that have criticized this move, but Ms. Mahadev, the war memorial was first proposed by the army in 1960. It has become a reality only now. The cabinet actually, cleared it in 2015. And if my memory doesn't fail me, a GOM was formed in 2006. Your government decided to constitute it. It wasn't up until 2012 that everybody came on board, and then the Delhi Chief Minister, the Congress Delhi Chief Minister, Sheila Dikshit opposed it. Why did you take so long? I mean, why could you not do it before? And today, is your criticism null and void?
The clarification that has to arise is that this is not the first war memorial in the country. There are several dozens of them all across the nation, and I understand there was a need for the National War Memorial, and in 2006 under Shri Pranab Mukherjee's leadership, we did have a GOM to discuss it. In 2012, Mr. A.K. Antony spoke about it. Mr. Sheila Dikshit's reservation was the fact that there was it was a place of archaeological importance, and that was something that they wanted to decide upon, and there was a delay. We will concede that there was a delay. We're very happy that there's a National War Memorial that has been done, but I believe that the sanctity and the sort of solemnity that has to come with the National War Memorial has been besmirched today by the sort of words that have been uttered by the Prime Minister. He stood on the memorial of hundreds and thousands being martyred to politic and basically show you electioneering, and that is what is extremely unfortunate. You can say it did not happen. Yes, it happened now, and I think timing is suspect. 2014 they spoke about getting a National War Memorial, and now on the eve of elections it has come up now, much like how there are a lot of other promises that are being delivered now, or at least pushed forward to 2022. But I think irrespective, we're very happy that the martyrs have been given this form of remembrance, but the shameless politicking of the situation is an absolute disgrace.
Okay. But Aishwarya Mahadev, I think on one count you've got to give the BJP its due. They had promised this in their election campaign. Mr. Modi was talking about this in 2014, and he's made this a reality in 2019 before demitting office, at least for elections. But on every count, sir, the BJP will have to be criticized on one thing, Mr. Taneja. It's a solemn affair. Kudos, you've done this. It has been inaugurated. Why did Mr. Modi have to make it an outright political speech? It was a solemn affair. It was supposed to mark the valor and sacrifice of our soldiers. Why can the Prime Minister not show restraint when it comes to electioneering? Why did he have to make it? Why did he have to get politics at the center stage? And that's exactly what he's being criticized for.
No, you see, I think we need to kind of, go by facts. He inaugurated that. There were no speeches there. I was watching it live on television. At the site where the National War Memorial and the Prime Minister inaugurated, there were no speeches. Absolutely no speeches. Probably you are referring to the speech where he had, made before coming to that place. So there, he basically was talking, giving the whole background, sharing some facts.
Mr. Taneja. No.
When, for instance,
Mr. Taneja. Mr. Taneja. No, Mr. Taneja, he made a speech before the servicemen present. He spoke about Europe, he spoke about the Congress, he spoke about the family. It was not perhaps right in front of the memorial, but he did make a political speech, and there is no denying that. Anyways, go ahead, sir.
Listen. No. Allow me to complete like you had others, please. You see, no, that was at the Ambedkar Stadium where he spoke. And the fact is that, basically the point he was trying to drive home was very simple. Even as an Indian, I travel all over the world. Wherever you go, London, Washington, D.C., Tokyo, Moscow, you see war memorials. How come that, the previous government, the Congress party, they were in power for such a long period, they paid no attention to it? Because my own assessment is the way we look at these issues, our armed forces, the sacrifice, our history, our culture, we are very different from the Congress party, and that is the reason. I don't want to say more than that. So he was just basically talking about some facts. Even, for instance, when you name a commercial building like Delhi's airport after a person, after a political leader, that's a kind of memorial that serves the political capital of that particular family or the party or the individual. It does. And there are hundreds of them named after only one family, hundreds of them. You see,
Mr.
that
Taneja,
so we were just talking, sharing some
Mr.
facts.
Taneja, okay,
and
I'm going to cut you short there.
Point that it should not have taken that
I'm
long.
sorry, that was not fact sharing.
Why you keep
no, no. Mr. Taneja, no, 1 second, Mr. Taneja. Give me a minute, because this was a political speech. This was made at that event. I don't know which event were you watching, because we were all watching the same event. You seem to be referring to something else. No, give me a minute. Nirja Chaudhary, I will come to you, and I don't know which speech is Mr. Taneja referring to, but this was a political battlefield that the Prime Minister tried to make. My question is that he was trying to get political mileage out of it. Is he going to get it? And are our armed forces only a vote bank for politicians? And I'm not just referring to the BJP, but across the political spectrum.
I think, yeah, well, generally I would say yes. But, you know, the Prime Minister could have said what he said, kal, parson, arson, that, you know, we have done this for the farmers, we've done this for the Dalits, we've done this, and we've done this for the soldiers, we've done a war memorial. He could have taken credit for it. But today, when he was launching it, you know, it seemed very out of place to make, you know, to bring it down to that level. As I said, it was very disappointing, but a good thing that this government has done it. Good thing, despite the delay, it can be inaugurated before the elections. And certainly, any war memorial is something that the country is proud of, because you're honoring those who laid down their lives for the country. And the country spirit doesn't stay alive unless it can do that. So the fact that this government has done it, the fact that it has speeded it up also, it's managed to inaugurate it, you know, they must be congratulated for that. But today was not the occasion to strike the notes that the Prime Minister did at that event. This is my humble view. One felt disappointed.
One of the charges... Okay, humble view, one felt disappointed, comes from a very, very seasoned commentator. But one charge that the Prime Minister made, which in fact, if you ask me, he shouldn't have made today. He's free to make that charge any other day. He could have even made this today, if not at that war memorial. And Aishwarya Mahadev, you'll have to answer that question. He said India first or family first? And he, of course, referred to airports, stadiums, everything named after one family. Where I disagree is that the point that Mr. Taneja was making, but you can't deny what he has said. And how will you respond to an allegation like that? Because this has not just been made by the Prime Minister, now it has been made in the past as well.
The one clarification that has to come out is that a party and its leader that opposed our freedom struggle, that opposed any form of independence for the country and basically swore suzerainty to the British Crown, are basically speaking about sacrifices of the Indian National Congress and its leaders and criticizing it. Those that have not been part of history have no right to talk and criticize or comment about it. There has been immense contribution of a lot of congressmen, and a lot of times places have been named. Tell me today, what did Deen Dayal Upadhyay do? What did Veer Savarkar do? And when the BJP decides to name people after their ideologues, are we the ones shouting foul about it? Absolutely not. When your dispensation has the chance to name things to commemorate leaders who have contributed immensely to the country, and mind you, two of our prime ministers were also assassinated brutally, you see that there is something that it holds value to the entire country and also the party. And the current dispensation has done it. Prime Minister Modi should not be a hypocrite when it comes down to it, because he's been doing the same. From renaming schemes to naming things after Deen Dayal Upadhyay, or even renaming things after Savarkar, and all these ideologues in the RSS. So I don't think it should be. And also family, when you speak about family, the fact exists that BJP has 44% of all the diners. I don't think this is an argument, and all this points out to you is the sort of debasement and the sort of low levels of dialogue that the Prime Minister will take anything to in favor of electioneering. This is about those martyrs. This is about the sons who have laid down their lives to save our soil. And he goes up there and attacks his political opponents. And I believe that speaks volumes about the character that is our Prime Minister and how badly it reflects on the dignity of his office.
Okay. Aishwarya, Aishwarya, I'll have to cut you short there because I don't want this to be a partisan political debate. We are referring to the war memorial, and let's keep this as bipartisan as we can. So, Shan Sareen, before I come to you, I will give Mr. Taneja a chance to respond to the allegations that have been made, because I don't know which speed are you referring to, sir. But I also have a very, very direct question. And to your point about, things being named, you're also doing Deen Dayal Upadhyay, you're also, naming people in your dispensation. But the question, sir, is, it was a very muscular speech on armed forces. It hasn't been preceded by a very muscular foreign policy. We've continuously blown hot and cold with Pakistan. Now after Pulwama, many people believe there's inaction. It's not stopping the killing of our soldiers. First Uri, then Pathankot, now Pulwama. The count just keeps going up.
I hope you will allow me to speak. You didn't allow me last time. Supriya, muscular foreign policy. This is a new term. Never heard this before. I did my MPhil in diplomacy. But anyway, I don't know what you mean by that. As far as the good foreign policy, strong foreign policy with good, results, that is there for everybody to see. Ask those people who know foreign policy. Call any, experienced diplomat. He'll tell you what has been our foreign policy as a whole and what has been in particular the Pakistan probably. That's probably what you're referring to. We will just go by record, or ask any Pakistani diplomat in confidence and he or she will tell you. Muscular foreign policy, we have a foreign policy is always a process, and we have a very strong, very clear, very consistent foreign policy. And the world is talking about our foreign policy, particularly those diplomats who are based in Islamabad. Now, coming to your earlier point, you see, and the speech made by the Congress spokesperson calling Prime Minister names, that's what practically she did, questioning Prime Minister's character. That's the language she used. I don't want to really get into this political tu-tu-me-me, but the fact is that, all the history and all that, people know that. If you are really saying that, the Congress party is not the proprietorship of a one political family, then you are denying something. 1.3 billion Indians and all those who follow Indian politics world over, they know it. It's a reality. It's like denying the existence of sun or moon or stars. So if Congress spokesperson wants to do that, I leave it there. The fact is, the Congress party called Indian National Congress, is a proprietorship firm. And all those who work in the party, including the spokesperson, they are just serving one family. They are not
direct
serving
question.
So that's the difference. And if you want to compare, you didn't interrupt once. Her, the Congress spokesperson, anybody, but you keep interrupting me. I don't know why do you call BJP spokesperson if we must agree with your views, only then we are allowed to speak, otherwise you will interrupt. If that is I think the best thing would be stop calling BJP persons. No point. I don't have to agree with you. You are just anchor,
sir,
moderating the debate.
I'm
here, also interacting with your audience.
1 second, sir.
You asked direct questions.
Mr. Taneja, I asked you a direct question. You can answer that instead of demeaning me as just being a moderator and anchor. I obviously know I'm a moderator and anchor. I am not putting my views forward. I am putting questions forward, and I expect my panel to answer my direct question. I put forward a direct question that what has been done on the ground to stop the killing of our soldiers? We've seen Uri, we've seen Pathankot, and we've now seen Pulwama. That's a direct question I'm asking you. On your point of family and, institutions and events being named after the family, I asked Aishwarya Mahadev that question. So you can't tell me that I'm not interfering when others are speaking and I'm only interfering on you. If you can please answer that question, we can move on.
All right. Okay. I'm not demeaning. What I try to say is, I said your viewers will understand. I'm not demeaning it. All I'm saying is your viewers can see, you don't interrupt anybody, you interrupt me. You don't let me speak because my views and your views are in two different directions. And it's for your viewers to decide. Please don't take anything personally, and that's not what I mean. Now the question is that you are from National War Memorial. Now you want to bring it to, Kashmir policy and what is happening in Kashmir. I'm happy to answer.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Go ahead,
I thought
sir,
you had another question, so that's why I stopped. Okay. Now, as far as this is concerned, our Pakistan policy, if you look at India's Pakistan policy since 2014, very consistent. Pakistan, when it look at Pakistan, you look at challenges they are facing in terms of economic policy, foreign policy, the internal issue, the relation. Pakistan has been completely isolated. Completely isolated. I'm not claiming we have thrown them out of the planet. No. But they stand, never before they ever experienced anything like this before. Even today, they are literally begging, for negotiations, for talks with India. What does it mean? Look at their economy. Look at their, their diplomacy. Look at their overall international affairs. That's the achievement. That's what we have done. And at the same time, if you really want to go, I hate to do that, but if you want to compare the figures, how many people lost their lives, civilians and armed forces on both sides before 2014 and after 2014, then you will get to the right conclusion. But that's not what we want. Point here is that as far as Pakistan policy is concerned, as far as Kashmir policy is concerned, India's foreign policy is concerned, we have never ever have experienced the kind of successes that we have, whether it's relations with Saudi Arabia or with Iran or with the Middle Eastern countries or with the United States or even with Russia or even for that matter even China.
Right.
So that's what it is. You see, foreign policy is nothing but the extension of domestic policy. These things take time. It's a process, and we have made tremendous progress in terms of what is known as the foreign policy and also known as the process of international diplomacy and international affairs.
No, you questioned my use of language on muscular foreign policy. Various experts have quoted it, so I don't know why you questioned me on that. But anyways, I'll move on to Sushant Sareen. And Mr. Sareen, Mr. Modi spoke of Rafale, he spoke of Bofors, he spoke of Europe. As someone who engages on some of these very sensitive issues, these memorials have been looked at with actions on the ground. What must be done to save lives of our soldiers, to make them better equipped, ensure there are more funds, ensure a safer transit? What else needs to be done for their better preparedness?
In a word, policy clarity. And I'm afraid I'll have to disagree to some extent with what Mr. Taneja said. As far as the larger foreign policy or security policy has been concerned of the government, there have been some hits and some misses. That's par for the course. That happens with every government. But as far as Kashmir is concerned, I'm afraid this government, just like any other government before it, we have no policy clarity, number one. And on Pakistan, we have actually no policy consistency. Forget about policy clarity. And the only thing consistent about a Pakistan policy is its inconsistency. And Mr. Taneja is talking about 2014 and consistent foreign policy towards Pakistan. What we have actually done since 2014 is flip-flop. In fact, even when Imran Khan became Prime Minister, everybody knew what his worth is. Everybody knew where he's coming from. Everybody knew whether he's a man of his own or he's somebody's puppet. And yet, we had the spectacle of the Indian High Commissioner taking a bat with signatures of all Indian cricketers and presenting it to him as some kind of a peace offering. We had the Prime Minister write this very nice letter to him. Surely the Prime Minister should have waited. There was no point, already the relations were bad. There was no point jumping the gun and trying to indulge in this kind of diplomatics with the leader of a hostile country. You should have waited for him to make the first step and then seen whether you really needed to do anything with this guy. You should have seen what the policies of that government, a puppet government if I might dare so was going to be before you jumped the gun. So we've been blowing hot and we've been blowing cold. On Kashmir again, we know that the situation has been turning bad, and yet the BJP made a Faustian bargain with the PDP, which was completely at ideological variance with the BJP. There was no meeting ground, and they gave the PDP so much of leeway, whereby whole lots of people, thousands of people who were stone pelters and troublemakers were released, and today you are paying the price for that kind of a policy. Come in there. So I think what we need most of all is policy clarity.
Sushant Sareen, give me a minute. I'll have to come in there because I'm running short of time on this show, and I have time for a quick last round of questions with the rest of them. And Nirja, Mr. Prime Minister's speech was aimed at the Congress, also to espouse a spirit of very high octane, what many people are now beginning to call hyper-nationalism. Would you say Mr. Modi has officially started his Lok Sabha campaign beginning today, and was this an attempt to regenerate what was perhaps a waning Modi wave?
I think we've seen that in the last days. I wouldn't say it was a kickoff of a campaign today. I mean, he's going to Kumbh, he's washing the feet of those who, you know, do sanitation work. And I personally feel it's a very good thing if our leaders, the Prime Minister of the country, cleans the feet of those who do scavenging work or cleaning, or for that matter Rahul Gandhi going and spending a night in a Dalit home. If our leaders start to do that, it is a good thing for whatever reason, even if it's a gimmick or a kickoff of a campaign. It's a very good thing for them to do, and for the voter and the citizen to feel, yes, I have the power of the vote to bring rulers to power or to dethrone them, and that strengthens our democracy. But I wouldn't say that today was a kickoff. I think it's been there for a while now, for several days, and even post Pulwama there is an attempt to up the ante, you know, to scale up the sentiment of nationalism, which the BJP obviously hopes will go in their favor. So that remains to be seen. But in terms of foreign policy, some things I would say they've done well on the diplomatic front, on you know, on economic front vis-a-vis Pakistan. And if muscular policy, I don't know whether you meant a precision strike or a war, that doesn't necessarily, you know, yield dividends. If that is what you meant, I don't know what you meant by that. But certainly on Kashmir, I agree with Sushant Sareen. If you look at 2014 and you look at 2019, in the valley, the alienation has grown enormously, and that is not a success story.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, on that note, my director tells me I can't go any further. I've completely run the last leg on the show and I can't borrow any time from the next show. But on that note, we will have to close this leg of the India development debate. Thank you very much, Mr. Narendra Taneja, Aishwarya Mahadev, Sushant Sareen, and of course Nirja Chaudhary for being with us. A war memorial is a memorial whose time has come, and I don't think anybody should have any issues with this whatsoever. And congratulations to the Modi government for making it a political manifesto issue and delivering on it in their first tenure. What was unacceptable was the politics that was perhaps at full play when the Prime Minister delivered the speech that he did. He perhaps could have shown some restraint at a solemn affair that was meant to mark the valor and sacrifice of our armed forces. But on that note, completely out of time on this edition of the India Development Debate. Coming up next, on the other edition of the India Development Debate, is going to be a fascinating discussion on social media, elections in the age of Twitter and Facebook. The Twitter's policy head appears before the parliamentary panel and Facebook's representative will be going next. We get you all the details on the other edition of the India Development Debate at 9:30 p.m. Do stay tuned for that.